You're watching the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand.
Salah to settle it!
Yes, good afternoon, people. Welcome back to the Kop TV. Welcome back to another match preview. Liverpool versus old rivals from the 70s and 80s and the now Nottingham Forest. A bit of revenge to dish out as well. If you remember back in January. Was it January? I think it might have been March. I don't know when it was, actually. We've lost so many away games this season. They've all kind of blended into one big disappointment. But, of course, we did lose to Forest last time out. So, as I said, I think it's their first trip to Anfield in over 20 years. So it's going to be a great game. Really looking forward to it. Of course, we'll be doing fan cams after. But here is your match preview with myself, AGT. If you don't know already about the Kop TV, then make sure, as always, you'll know by now if you watch this a lot, please like the video. It doesn't cost anything. It's totally timeless. It takes less than a second to do. And of course, comment with your lineup predictions, your score predictions for this one as well. And as always, subscribe to the Kop TV if you have not already. Loads of great content to come this week and next. We've got Tottenham next week. We've got West Ham. So you can expect a big few previews in the bag, expressions, West Ham Fan TV, etc., etc. And of course, podcast is back next Thursday at 3:30. It won't be 11:30 on Tuesday. It will be Thursday at 3:30. So let's get into this one. Big up to everyone who's locked in already. Hopefully you're doing as I say and liking the video. Let's give you a couple of stats before we get into this one. You know, I like a little stat or two. And remember, if you want your comment to be read out without fail, then please do make sure you send in a super chat if you can. And of course, it does support the channel and all of that good stuff. So make sure you can if you can. So against Leeds last time out, Trent Alexander-Arnold recorded his 50th Premier League assist, becoming the third youngest player to hit that in the competition at the age of 24 and 192 days after two players, can you guess them, who are very young and got 50 assists before Trent. They, of course, were Cesc Fabregas at 22 and Wayne Rooney just a few days younger than Trent. Trent has 3 assists in his last 2 league matches, having only assisted 2 in his first 27 this season beforehand. Did not know that. Do not like that stat, especially considering that he's only got 2 in his first 27 games. Salah's been involved in 9 goals in Liverpool's last 5 home games for Liverpool in all competitions, 6 goals, 3 assists, scoring in all 5 matches. And the Egyptian himself was the last Liverpool player to score 6 in a row at Anfield, last doing so in March 2018. Away from home in the Premier League this season, Forest have the fewest points, only 6, joint fewest wins with 1, fewest goals scored 5, and the worst goal difference -31, and second highest number of goals conceded with 36. So all these stats tell you that Salah's going to score on Saturday and Forest won't win, as they've only won once this season away from home. To be fair, it's not even that bad compared to Liverpool's record. I'd hasten to guess, but it's not good. I reckon Liverpool have won 4 or 5 tops Premier League away games this season, if I'm honest. Newcastle, Villa, Leeds, obviously. Struggling after that, if I'm honest. Let me go through. Tottenham, beat Tottenham away. Didn't beat Arsenal, didn't beat City, didn't beat United, didn't beat Chelsea, didn't beat Palace. There's as you can see, the list does go on. Nottingham Forest are without a clean sheet in the last 10 Premier League games. In fact, Forest are winless in all 24 league games in which they've conceded this season, drawing 8 and losing 16, with all of their 6 victories being to 0. Forest are winless in their last 10 Premier League games, the longest streak since September and January 1999. Haven't said that for a while. Liverpool have lost just 1 of their last 37 Premier League home games. Still a very good record, right? And that, of course, was a 2-1 loss against Leeds in October. They've only failed to score once in these 37 games, and that was, of course, of a goalless draw at home with Chelsea in January. Still a couple more stats to run through. Only 2 promoted teams have ever done the Premier League double over Liverpool. That was Newcastle in 1994. And who remembers this one? Under Roy Hodgson, Blackpool in 2010-11. Horrible era in Liverpool's history. That Nottingham Forest, as we know, won the reverse fixture 1-0 against Liverpool in October. Only twice before have they ever done the league double over the Reds, doing so in 1911 and 1963. Liverpool are unbeaten in the last 23 league home games against Forest. The last time we lost against Forest at Anfield, 1969. Unbelievable, really, when you think about how great Forest were back in the day. Of course, we've got some Carvalho stuff to talk about as well, but let's get through the match preview first and foremost. 4-0 Nunes hat-trick. Bro, you commute so much from London to Liverpool, you need a helicopter, says Jungle is massive. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the helicopter would be great, obviously, but the Avanti West Coast from Liverpool Lime Street to London Euston gets me there and back at least once a week, if not twice. So, yeah, thank you, man. I'm currently in Liverpool, but I won't be at the game on Saturday. I will actually be in London covering that one. Gus has joined us. Let's see what Gus thinks about the game, shall we? As he seems to think it's okay just to walk in whilst we're shooting. Gus, obviously Trent's in this inverted role now. Do you think that's where he needs to stay, especially in a home game against Forest? Thoughts on that one? Yeah, that's what I thought as well. No, it's true. Gus always comes with that fire football insight. Isn't it, Gus? All right, off you go. Shut the door on the way out as well, please, Gus. All this is saying, says El Descarriado, says, all this is saying is an ugly 1-0 Forest win incoming. I hate stats. They just set you up to be clowned, he says. Hopefully not. Jungle is massive, says that Brennan Johnson is a heck of a player. Really like him. Trent in this inverted centre midfield role, says Allier. Of course, we probably will see that again this weekend. AGT, if we don't get top 4, do you want Europa or conference or not? I don't want conference, but I don't mind Europa if we push until the end for top 4. I mean, if you're making me pick one, it's obviously the Europa League, a competition that we do have great history in. We've won it 3 times. I think it was 1974. There was definitely one in 2001. Have we only won it 2 times, actually? And I think it is 3, to be fair. Obviously, we lost in the final the last time we were in it to Sevilla. But if I had to pick, obviously, it is Europa League because the standard is still there. And if you win it, you do get in the Champions League. So, yeah, as we know, big up Gus. And as we know as well, Roy Hodgson was definitely bad as well. No to Conference League, says Allier. Well, we might not have a choice at the end of the day. We still might not have a choice. But looking ahead to this one again, time and a chance really to build some momentum going into this final leg of the season. Listen, if you watched the fan cams the other night, you'll have seen that Mario saying how he's still positive and how he believes that even though we're still so far off it, if we win every game that there is to play this season, I think we've got 8 games to go, then he believes that Liverpool can still finish in the top 4. I've said it's maybe a 3% chance, tops 5%. But those percents only go up if you win games. And again, how lucky are we after that massive 6-1 win against Leeds to be playing a team at home that hasn't won in 10 and that we can really take advantage of and try and keep trying new things out, right? With Gakpo, with Trent playing in that inverted. I still believe he starts every game at right back, but obviously drifts into that central position. And of course, next season, brilliant Steve for reminding me here, the final of the Europa League next year is in Dublin. Now, that is something to look forward to if Liverpool can get to the final. It would almost be a home from home if Liverpool fans end up going up to Dublin. Wow. But yeah, again, a chance to build momentum, a chance to really put some goals through Forest and get our goal difference up. How can we have had a season where we go and beat Manchester United 7-0, but lose to them in the other game, beat Leeds 6-1, but lose to them in the other game? I'm sure, yeah, Bournemouth beat them 9-0 and still lost to them away. So we've got to not only dish out a little bit of revenge on Forest for beating us earlier this season, but we've got to just smash them. We actually have to smash them. And of course, with Diaz back, with everyone really firing up front, Jota, Nunes, Gakpo scoring, Salah as well, as we know, it's a good time to play them, considering we've just scored 6 away goals in the last game. So, looking forward to this game. In terms of a lineup prediction, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think Alisson, Trent. I wouldn't be surprised if Konate came back in for this one with Van Dijk, and then obviously left back will be Robertson. In the midfield, a question for you all now. Does Curtis Jones deserve to keep that starting berth? That would be his 4th start in a row for Liverpool. The last time he did that was some time ago. So I think, considering the really positive play against Leeds from him in midfield, I think you start him. He deserves to start, I should say, in that midfield. I would start with him, Thiago. I think any midfielder gets better when you've got Thiago next to you, just because of how good he is. Did we all see the call out passes between Diaz and Thiago yesterday? Unbelievable. That guy's techers will never fail to wow me, if I'm honest. So I would go with Curtis, Fabinho, and Thiago in the midfield. And then up front, this is where it gets a bit tasty, right? Do you go with a Jota on the left wing, which we have been in the last few games? Do you start Diaz, right? This is the good thing about Liverpool this season, is we do have a headache when it comes to strikers, right? The front 3 are exceptional in any position that you play them. We even saw Luis Diaz come on the other day and play from the right wing, and we're normally used to seeing him play on the left wing. So a good headache to have, obviously. But when it comes down to picking your team, who goes in that front 3? Let me know how you would start that game in terms of the forward players. Me personally, right, I'll go with, can you drop Gakpo? I don't think you can drop Gakpo. I do not think you can. But again, him or Jota through the middle. Let's go with Jota on the left, Gakpo through the middle, and Mo Salah. And then off the bench, Captain Chaos, Darwin Núñez, 15 goals now. Sorry, I went to the gym this morning. I'm knackered. 15 goals now in all comps for Darwin Núñez. There was a lot of hate. One of the recent videos on DR Sports, when comparing, I couldn't even believe it was a question that we were even asking, to be fair. But Robbie, as he likes to do, wound me up and said, who's been better this season, Antony or Núñez? Obviously, it's Núñez with 15 goals. Be nice if he could end up with 20 goals in all comps. I would be really happy with that. And again, with 8 games to go, coming off the bench, starting, he can get those goals. And that's why this game, especially against Forest, I'm not really looking for a 1-0 or 2-1 here. I'm looking for a massive scoreline, similar to Bournemouth, if I'm honest. Knowing the level, knowing that we're at home, knowing the level of the opposition, their form recently. And again, give them respect, because Steve Cooper, considering how many people, including myself, had Forest to go down, he has steadied the ship in some way, especially at the start of the year, just after the World Cup. But as we know, last 10 games, they're winless. So will they go down? And obviously, if we beat Forest on Saturday, it's a big help for Everton, that one. It would be putting Forest probably in the bottom 3 with Southampton and Everton. So Núñez to come off the bench, Diaz to come off the bench, Firmino to come off the bench. Fully expecting changes in midfield if the game is going how it should be going after 60-odd minutes. So score prediction from myself, I'm going 4-0. I know it's might be a little bit ahead of myself. It might be a touch arrogant, but again, the facts are the facts. We're playing at home. The last game we played against Forest, we lost, obviously, so we have to make that right this time. We do score a lot of goals at home. Salah looking for his 6th goal in a row at Anfield for the first time in around 5 years. The goals they concede away from home, they've only won once away from home this season. And Liverpool, I think, out of the last 38, as I just mentioned, have won 29. So there you go. Again, a couple of players that we used to have on the books. As we know, Awani scored in the last game, and obviously Nico Williams will be coming back to Liverpool, and he'll probably be facing up against Jota on that side. And then it probably will be Thiago on that side as well, in the left central position, to really stop him from getting time on the ball, from crossing. As we know, he's a very good technician, Nico Williams. And I was actually part of the camp that actually wanted him to stay at Liverpool. I do think he will go on to have a really good career. Technically, he's excellent. He's been at Liverpool, I would say, since the age of 6 or 7. So he really was, a favourite at Liverpool in terms of coming through the ranks, being a local, well, I say local lad, he's Welsh, so not far from Liverpool, but he's obviously grown up in Liverpool now for a long time. And we got a really good fee. I think we got 17 million in the end for Nico Williams. So excellent work in terms of letting the player go there. And I'm not sure if we have a buyback clause, but again, still a threat. Still a threat on set pieces. We know how good he is at crossing the ball. I remember when we played Ajax at home in the Champions League a couple seasons ago, he set up Curtis Jones with the goal. I think it was a 1-0 win. So again, don't underestimate Nico Williams. Don't underestimate Forest in general. They've still got some very good technicians. They've obviously got a lot of players from La Liga this season in terms of Felipe, Lodi, Keylor Navas as well. Excellent players really that have had glittering careers, especially Navas for sure. And then in the midfield, you've also got John Joe Shelvey, another ex-Liverpool player playing in red. Will he get a start or will he feature on Saturday at Anfield? Let me know in the comments. But again, Morgan Gibbs-White, Jesse Lingard, on their day, they can pull it off. You've obviously got up front Brennan Johnson, who I think alongside Saka, he's got the most goals as an under-21 in the league this season. So you'd be a fool to underestimate Forest and what they can do on any given moment. But again, Liverpool at home, I'm fully expecting us to win this game. As I said, a massive chance to build momentum going into West Ham away, Tottenham at home, Leicester away. These are all massive games that we have to win. But I will say this, and make of it what you will. If we drop points in any of these games now, in the last 8 games, you can forget about top 4. As I've just mentioned, probably a 5% chance that we will get top 4. But if you lose or drop any points in any of these games now coming up, you are looking at definitely an outside the top 4 finish. But we knew that anyway. Big up to Mixed Marshall, who didn't get a notification, but make sure, unlike Mixed Mitchell, you do press that notification bell. So whenever we go live, whenever we drop a fan cam, whenever we drop some news, you are fully informed and you're in the loop. So make sure that you are pressing that notification button as well. Kay here saying Southampton, Forest and Everton to get relegated. Yeah, I think that's probably the best 3 to say right now. Big up AGT and gang, says G-Man. Big up to you as always. Thinking 3 or 4-0, says T-Boys TV. 9-0 again. That'll be twice in the same season at Anfield at home. Zayn Sheikh says there. 7-1. Where are these scores coming from? They get the first, so it goes all Arsenal, and then we just hammer them in for the rest of the game. Consecutive 5-goal plus games. Yeah, that would be true if that did happen. In possession, we played 3 at the back with Trent in midfield. We need to see this again. As you've seen, when Trent does drift over into that, that kind of central midfield position, you do see Konate coming over and covering. The only chance that we've got to be countered against this new play of Trent going into the midfield is on the wings and on the counter attack. Forest can break away fairly quickly, as we saw earlier on in this season when we played them there. But I think at home against Forest, with their away record, with our home record, this is actually the perfect time to again test Trent out in that position. We've all been calling for it for so long, but this isn't the kind of thing that you can do every game, people. We don't have Trent doing this at home to Arsenal, at home, even though he was in that position a lot to Arsenal. But I don't think Klopp would really push him to get into that central position at a United away, a City away. So it's nice to see Konate go and help out Trent. You've obviously got Henderson or Thiago or Fabinho or Curtis Jones that can help Trent out on that right-hand side as well. So again, perfect time to test it out again, and let's really put Trent in central midfield to the test. How many games in a row can we see him dominate, get the most touches, get assists, create from a central position, play balls over the top for the strikers? How many times will we get to see that in this Forest game? Let me know. I might sneeze very shortly, so I'll let you know if I do, but no, not yet. John, Wrexham promotion party Saturday, kid. Well, if you are a Wrexham fan, you are happy. They just obviously beat Yeovil at home 3-0, and I think they need one more win out of their remaining 2 to get automatic promotion. Big up to Wrexham, though. They've done it in a very entertaining way this season, as we know. Balaji saying, let's not underestimate them. Let's just get the 3 points and more goal difference. We have better goal difference than Man United, as we know. I would have kept him 2. We're talking about Nico Williams here. I would have kept him too, but he's an international, so I understand why he wanted to leave. We have to win all 8 games, says Allier. Just finished Star Trek Picard. No spoiler ending. I just turned off my phone airplane mode to avoid spoiler. I'm here now. Big up Timothy Parish, always locking into the Kop TV. El Descarriado again says Navas is a mad signing. Love to see stuff like that. 5-0 Liverpool, says Kay. Alex, hypothetically speaking, if you had to pick one player from Forest to join us, who would it be? Great question. Keep the great questions coming, by the way. I always like to answer your guys' questions. One player. Good question, as I just said. Maybe. I'm trying to think of who they've got in midfield. It's not really jumping out at me. I know they've got 35 odd players. Let's actually look at their squad, because, again, I can't remember all their players that they've been buying, right? So let's go through their squad, Forest, and see what they've got here then, right? Dean Henderson, Wayne Hennessy, and Keylor Navas. Maybe take Navas as a number 2 at Liverpool next season. Would that be so mad, considering that Kelleher is probably going to leave? Let me know in the comments right now, actually. Would you take Keylor Navas as our number 2 next season? I would. I actually would. And I think that's a great shout, one I've just come up with. No one really standing out in defence. Sergio, Willy Bolly, Felipe, Renan Lodi. I wouldn't take any of them. In the midfield, Jack Colback, who's been around for so long now. Cafu, someone called Cafu from Portugal in the midfield there. Ryan Yates, wouldn't have him. Jesse Lingard, certainly wouldn't have him. Certainly wouldn't have Harry Arter, who played for Bournemouth. Maybe Chiarte, Cheku Chiarte, again, maybe on the downward slope now. Remo Freuler from Switzerland. Morgan Gibbs-White, 2 goals, 5 assists for him. Mangala plays a fair bit. Danilo, we've seen him play a fair bit this season. John Joe Selvey, Sam Sturridge. I think the only 2 that I would take is the goalkeeper, Keylor Navas, to play number 2 to Alisson next season. I think he'd do a good job at that. And I would probably take Morgan Gibbs-White. And maybe Brennan Johnson as well. We've obviously got Lyle Taylor, who's still at the club as well, from Montserrat. Interesting to see him still there. Taiwo Awani, who we had at Liverpool. Brennan Johnson, Emmanuel Dennis. We were linked with him at one point when he was at Watford. Alex Mighton, never heard of him. Chris Wood, definitely wouldn't take him. And I definitely wouldn't take Andre Ayew as well. So yeah, Keylor Navas and Morgan Gibbs-White for me. Let me know in the comments if you would agree. 3-1 Liverpool, 3-1 again from Andy. Big up to Angel as well. My prediction is 4-0 with Salah scoring 2 of them. Damn it, missed the live. Sorry, mate. Shopping came. No worries, Kazi. As long as you're telling people in the Discord where they can go and find this show, as you already have, then you've got no bones to pick with me. A lot of people saying Brennan Johnson. Yeah, again, he's definitely up there, young as well. Johnson or Williams back. Navas as a backup to Ali, as I just said. Gustavo, Scarpa, and Danilo, the Brazilians, look good. Yes, defensively, a lot of experience. Brennan Johnson, backup. Rosie, how are you, Alex? I'm good. How are you, Rosie? Big up. I was thinking Navas as a backup and Johnson, to be fair. Get Big John Joe back for fun? Probably not. What do I think of Darwin? I absolutely love him. Couldn't love him more, actually. Navas as number 2, awesome. Brennan Johnson can do well as a backup for Salah. Navas should have been Real Madrid number 1. Mad they replaced him, even though Courtois is exceptional. No spoilers at all, but it really was. That's talking about Star Trek, not my thing, but big up to you, Tim. Keylor Navas is probably the 3rd best keeper in the league. It's crazy that he's playing for Forest. And again, when he signed for Forest, so many heads were turning at that one. People scratching their heads. I mean, Dean Henderson and Wayne Hennessy, I think, obviously, Dean Henderson, as we know, got injured earlier on in the season, and Hennessy is a decent number 2 to him. But listen, you know, Keylor Navas needs the dough. Obviously, he wasn't getting any games at Real Madrid, so he's come in and he's starting games in the Premier League. So a great experience for him, nonetheless. Let's talk about Fabio Carvalho. Right now, as we've seen, it looks like he is off at the end of the season, if you believe the reports from Fabrizio Romano. And it's a confusing one, isn't it? Because, again, we did so much to get this deal over the line when he was at Fulham. Again, I've got a couple of Fulham fan mates who are telling me really great things about Fabio. And then obviously he came, he did fairly well in pre-season. I was really excited. I even remember James on an early episode of Hot Copics this season saying that Fabio was the one he was watching out for the most this season, and that was ahead of Darwin and Gakpo and all the rest of the guys. So he will be going out on loan at the end of the season, which I do think is a good thing for him. And obviously the club, whoever he goes to, will be getting a great player. If I had to choose a club where I know instantly he's going to go back and make an impact, it would be Fulham. And I think they'd be silly not to have a buyback clause in the loan deal. I mean, am I saying that I want to see the back of him? No, I definitely don't want to see the back of Fabio Carvalho. There's still a lot to see from him, from Harvey, from Curtis Jones. I don't think we can just write players off after a season. We've seen with the Bobbies, we've seen with the Robertsons, the Fabinhos, that you can't just write someone off after half a season. And let's have it really right. He's not had enough opportunity to play for Liverpool in the first team this season, right? Let's go back to his highlights at Liverpool so far. The Newcastle 2-1 winner, last kick of the game. I thought that would really kick him on, and that was in August, I believe, and then in October, I think he plays the league game against City. Did really well in that game. I think he scored at home against Bournemouth as well in August. So again, a really good positive start to the season where he was getting minutes. I remember the goal at Anfield. I was there. It was a really nice volley, bottom right corner. And then he scored again away at the Etihad in the League Cup. A nice, tidy finish. So again, there have been moments of real promise shown by Fabio Carvalho. But at the age he's at, he needs to be playing football week in, week out. And right now, the only thing that I'm not 100% sure on with him is his position. Where is the best place to play him? Because out wide, does he get involved in the game as much? Can he go around and beat fullbacks? Again, I'm not 100% sure. There is an argument to say that maybe he does need to bulk up a bit, get a little bit more physical. Or is it more centrally in that kind of Coutinho hybrid role of like a mix between an 8 and a 10? I think that's probably his favourite position. But do you play him over the three in midfield? Do you play him instead of Gakpo? Probably not. Or definitely not. So he's got to bide his time, but there's been biding time. And then there's been what he's experienced at Liverpool, which is, I think, 4 minutes of league football in the last few months. So, you know, I do feel for him because at this stage in his career, as I just said, needs to play games. Now, I definitely wouldn't want to see the back of him. This is the thing that we can't do, is we can't allow him to go to a club like a Fulham. There's obviously a lot of people that have sent in their options for him to go out on loan here, which I'll read out in a sec. But if you do sell him to a Fulham full-time and then he scores against us or he has a great season, we'll be kicking ourselves. Is he Liverpool quality? Yes, I think eventually he will be. He will with the time. If we can afford to give him time, that's another question entirely. But I don't think we've seen the back of Fabio Carvalho. I do think that after time, if he goes out on loan, gets his minutes in, we could be coming back to seeing a really good player. And we're not in a rush to sell him. I think the sell-on value is massive. And I think clubs these days, considering the contracts and the clauses and all that stuff that we're seeing now in modern-day football, we wouldn't just want him to go out on loan and then be signed. You know, a loan, the whole point of a loan, right, from the parent club is to go out, send your player out, get him minutes, and then hopefully he's a better player when he comes back to fit into the team. It's not always let's loan him and then sell him to the highest bidder at the end of the loan. A loan is go and do your business, show us that you're good enough, and then come back and you get another chance. To me, that is what a loan should do. So I don't think that Liverpool go on to sell him permanently. If there is a loan this season, then again, some of the clubs that you could send him to are in the chat right now. Offer him to Dortmund, says Clive Jones. He needs to stay in the league, go to West Ham or a Villa and prove that he has it. A loan to Portugal, where he's from, Benfica. Says Alier Lee Miles, saying that he's a number 10, definitely. He's I said number 8, number 10. I think we could all agree that he is a 10, but probably won't fit our style. Andy saying Leicester City or Everton. I don't think we would ever loan a player to Everton, Andy, or Leeds on loan. Leeds could be going down. And I think he does have to stay in the Premier League. A drop down to the Championship would be not catastrophic for him, but it would definitely be a backward step for him. Again, another shout here from Alier to say Benfica. And then Rosie saying, I'm good. Something definitely happened between Klopp and Fabio. Again, do we know what happened behind the closed doors? Absolutely not. Can we assume that something has happened behind closed doors? Well, when you consider the lack of game time he's had from Klopp, then maybe we can say that something has happened behind closed doors, but we'll never be privy to that. As we know, Liverpool don't work like that. Kay saying, loan him to Bayer Leverkusen with Xabi Alonso. Not the worst shout in the world. Definitely not the worst shout in the world. I wouldn't be against that at all. I'm worried after the Fulham game early in the season that Klopp had realised he wasn't quite ready, which is a shame. Carvalho needs to only bulk up to hold the ball better and not get out-muscled as much, saying El Descarriado. Big up to Frank Carlisle. He's going for a 3-0 win against Forest. And Ashley saying, I think a loan suits all parties. Maybe his attitude has changed and he's sulking due to playing time, or he just doesn't fit in our system at the minute. How many answers have we had on Fabio Carvalho? Everyone seems to have their own opinion on what's happened or what hasn't happened for him this season. He needs time. Mixed Marshall saying he would only loan him, which I totally agree with. I wouldn't sell him only a loan. But there is this option as well from Frank Carlisle. And again, could he have had an argument behind the scenes? Yes. Is he not up to the level that we need right now? Maybe yes. But he also hasn't had a chance. As Frank says here, he hasn't had enough chances to prove us that he is ready. To me, it's wrong. He's a very good player, says Frank. And this is why most Liverpool fans would tell you this isn't done with Fabio Carvalho. If he does leave, it's a loan. Hopefully for him, it works out. Hopefully for him, it's at a really high level. And then he can come back and show us in the Liverpool team what he's made of. We can't sell. We have to loan Fabio. Everyone's saying that he can't be sold permanently. Germany would be great for his development on loan, saying Steve. Sell him to Brighton as part payment for McAllister. Okay, Ashley, I like that idea. I can't lie to you. If it means that we get Alexis McAllister in, who's, accomplished proper number 10, who's won the World Cup, I don't know, guys. That's a great shout from Ashley. That's actually made me think about it a little bit more. Fabio swap deal with Dortmund again. Who knows there? Big up Ricardo. I've never seen your name in the chat before. I think we got kicked out of other comps early. His chances were cut short. This is a great point as well to make, that if we were further in the FA Cup, further in the League Cup, then as we saw him play against City away, he would have got more game time. I think Jurgen would have played it more in the other comps, but we needed to salvage a Champions League spot. Is it? Yeah. Is that maybe one of the main reasons why he hasn't played enough? Because we're out of all the cups super early this year, as of course we weren't last year. But that could be a great shout as well. Jude Fabio swapped deal with Dortmund. I just read that out. Jamie saying he highly rates him. Smash the Championship alone would be perfect. Maybe a newly promoted team. I hear that. But if you send him straight back to Fulham, he knows what the deal is. They know what the deal is, and he can get cracking just like that. He'd probably start for them. So, looking at the teams that are coming up next season, would you send him to Burnley? Probably not. Luton are in the mix. Millwall are in the mix. I wouldn't send him to any of them. And I think the one place that he would love, gets to go back to live in London. Fulham would love to have him back as well. It could be Fulham. It could well be Fulham. Loan him to Dortmund and get Jude. Yeah, and this is something that we should say as well. Big up K Mac, who says Fabio, 12 games, 3 goals. He's not done that bad at all. For number 10 or 1 in 4, it's not too bad at all. I'm sure he's got a couple of assists as well. I like him. Big up AGT, says Blair. I think Carvalho has a shout long-term as a backup winger. Some of his play on that side last year was brilliant. Loan him out this year or next season. Something mad might happen and he goes to Wrexham on loan. I can't see that one. Maybe, says Mitchell, give him to Brighton for 2 years or something. That would really help his development, to be fair. And the prospect of softening them up for Alexis makes me really like this idea. That is a great shout. Whoever came up with that one, I like it. Fabinho is our most consistent player, but this season he looks unrecognizable. He's very slow, clumsy. It's a worrying sign for him, and I feel like he should stay as a backup for next year, says Rosie. Again, so many options on the table for Fabio. I'll give you my top 2, right? Top 3, in fact, and these are all yours as well. So massive shout out to everyone getting in the comments. Obviously, you guys know I love to engage and interact with you all. I would say Fulham is my number 1 option. Right, just because, as I've said, he knows the club very well. Number 2 would be Brighton, just because I think he gets game time. I think he would play, And I think it's a great place to learn and go and get your minutes under your belt in the Premier League, fighting for Europe as well, by the way. Maybe we do regret giving him to Brighton if they finish above us next season as well. And my third option, not Borussia Dortmund, it would be Bayer Leverkusen under Xabi Alonso. Maybe there's a conversation to be had between Klopp and Xabi on that one. But let us know in the comments, right? Who or where is the better question. Where does Fabio Carvalho end up next season? And for you, in your opinion, is it a loan or is it a loan to buy or is it a permanent deal? Which I wouldn't be keen on, if I'm honest. I'm a massive fan of his and I want to see him back at Anfield. And like most people have said here in the comments, it's a long-term plan here with Fabio Carvalho. It's definitely not get rid of him and try and make as much money now. No, he's a great player and he will be in the future. Massive shout out to Jen every time. Jen, if you're ever at Anfield, I need to buy you a drink because Jen, the super chats that she sends in are really supporting the channel. So we massively appreciate it. Scott Willig says, being in the Conference League next year has the upside of allowing us to blood a lot of our young talent in against good Euro opposition. You've seen that's what Arsenal have done this season, right? You've seen the Fabio Vieiras, the Kiwiors, the Trossards, the Eddies, all playing in Europe. And again, I wouldn't be too against playing in the Europa League. Of course, we're going to get bantered Thursday nights. Peak. Yeah, all of that is shit if we get that next season. But from a channel perspective as well, it means that we can go to Europe. We can find some really interesting teams to go away with, can film some great content. I'd actually love to play a Real Betis or someone like that in the Europa League. I've got a massive soft spot for that club. So I wouldn't be against going there and playing next season. Obviously, the Champions League is the priority. But if we ended up 5th or 6th, I wouldn't be too mad at that, considering how much of a poor season this season has been compared to last season as well. Jen reminding us that if he went to Brighton, it could be good for us in the market as well. See, now a lot of people saying Brighton, but only on a loan, right? If Fabio goes, it's because of Klopp, or maybe it's because of himself and stuff that we're not totally aware of. So I don't think you can say that. Again, massive shout out to Jen. Love the channel and the content. Again, if you're at Anfield, Jen, I'll buy you a drink because you've been a star to the channel. Again, do you know what? Knowing that the Europa League final next year is in Dublin, it's kind of making me flirt with the idea, if I'm really honest with you. We've seen United play Barcelona, we've seen them play Real, Betis, Sevilla, Sociedad. Imagine a Dublin Europa League final with Liverpool in it. Scenes, mate. Absolute scenes. Europa League's coming. Saying Vidu, if we get Europa, Klopp has completed it all. Yeah, it's the only competition Klopp hasn't won. Obviously, we lost in the final in 2016. Let's go visit Moldova and them countries. Yeah, I'd be open to that. Why not? Can do some scouting reports for potential Liverpool players as well. Exactly. There's some great talent to be picked up in the Europa League for sure. Big up Kazi, one of the main guys in the Discord. Just to remind you, if you've just joined us now, the link to the Discord is in the description of this video. So as I've said, the chat really does continue over there on Discord. It's a great vibe. There's no bad energy. There's no knobheads. It's all good people. There's mods. We have really open, discussive, is that a word? Discourse in Discord. That's a little sentence for you there. I'm supposed to have breakfast, but I guess I can wait until 8 a.m. This Timothy guy, right, is always watching the Kop TV at mad hours, like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. It's the Liverpool love that we've got all around the world. Big up to you. I can see him on loan at Villa. I can't see him at Villa whilst they've still got Coutinho, right? And Coutinho will probably leave Villa this summer as well, by the way. Where does he end up now? Europa League final at the Aviva. Yes, I'm starting to get a little bit excited about that one, if I'm honest. That would be a madness. Would be like a home game. It would be. If 50,000 Liverpool fans ended up going to Dublin, oh my God, it would be incredible. Europa League isn't too bad post September. Can't believe we're going to miss out on the top 4. Sorry, can't believe we're going to miss out on this Dublin Europa final by making top 4. Well, that's a good way to look at it, right? I mean, yeah, it's a great way to look at it. Big up to you. Would you take Phil Coutinho back? No, I wouldn't. Lexon saying it's 7 a.m. Big up to you. You never walk alone, as always. Europa, Klopp doesn't win the Europa League. Let's give it a proper try, saying Vidu. Europa brings chances for a trophy. It's not ideal, but a trophy is a trophy. And again, that's what Man United will have been saying to themselves this season. And If next season domestically it doesn't go well, win the Europa League, you're in the Champions League. So there's pluses and minuses to being in that competition. Fabio Carvalho reminds me of when we had Harry Wilson. Again, another player that's gone to Fulham, another player that's done well at Fulham. I was a massive fan of Harry Wilson. It was a goal he scored in pre-season 2019. I think it was it Marseille? It was definitely a French team. It might have been Lyon. It was an absolute rocket. And he's got it in the bag, Harry Wilson. He also scored last week against Everton, by the way, for Fulham. So shout out to him. I would only be happy if they had the ground and security sorted. Talking about Dublin. Howdy, people. Big up to Chris inside. I wouldn't mind a Coutinho and Thiago partnership. I just don't think Klopp ever brings back a player that he wants sold. I'm in North Carolina. Big up Timothy. Wilson was techie well, but we don't do tech. I loved Harry Wilson. Nice to see Wilson score against Everton. And yes, Taron knows what I'm talking about. He did score a screamer that day. Let me just try and find out who's it against. Pre-season goal for LFC. He scored loads in pre-season. Yeah, it was Lyon. It was Liverpool 3, Lyon 1, and it was an absolute thunderbolt from Harry Wilson in that game in 2019. Coutinho, I'd never take him back. It's like getting back with your ex. It just doesn't work. Harry Wilson literally never got a chance. Champions League final in Wembley, would rather be in that than Dublin. It's a good point. I didn't know that Wembley is the final next year. If it is, obviously we've got a very good record at Wembley in the recent years. So Wembley over Dublin, let me know in the chat. But there you go. There is your match preview. Again, I'll read the title out to you. This Forest game, a massive chance to build momentum going into a really important week or so. And it looks like Fabio Carvalho will be leaving. Don't forget, Saturday, if you're at the game, big up to my guy Sean Gilhooly as well, who I bumped into him in Carragher's Bar in New York. He's a fan of the Kop TV. He's at the game from New York on Saturday. I was really looking forward to meeting him again, but unfortunately I'll be on DR Sports this Saturday. So even better, you've got Mario doing the fan cams after the game against Forest on Saturday. So really looking forward to seeing those. On Sunday or Monday, we'll have a West Ham preview for you. And then, of course, we'll be back in Jurgen's for West Ham game next Wednesday. Podcast next week is Thursday. And then, of course, we'll have a massive preview in the bag with either Abbey or Expressions for the Tottenham game, which is next Sunday. And I will be at that at Anfield, guys. So if you want to meet up or come and do a fan cam, get a picture, whatever you want to do, we can do that next Sunday at Anfield if you're around. Right, as I've said, join the Discord if you haven't already. Make sure that you're smashing the like button on this video. I'd like to see at least 200 likes if we can, please. And of course, make sure you're subscribing to the Kop TV if you have not already. So many great things yet to come on this channel until the end of the season. Right, guys, thank you for watching. You've been a beautiful audience once again with your super chats, your really great questions as well. Some chat still coming in, but keep the comments going down below after we finish this video. So guys, much love, take care, you never walk alone, and we will see you on Saturday after what is hopefully a massive Liverpool win at Anfield against Forest. Take care, we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
Please, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Kop TV.
The voice of football's most famous stand.